Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Doing a little bit of a snow update here, and this video is going to cover more of the shooting. This America Franze videos get into the whole shooting and how the Trump administration is going against the Second Amendment people, and so there's all that. But first, we had kind of a situation here. So the snow is like epic fucking snow here. And we had a mother go broody, and we put some chicks under her, and I've covered this in previous videos. One of them has been eaten by a hawk, and this one is an Easter egger named Goldie, one of my wife's favorite chickens. She was on the roof of our car for a while, and then she was somewhere else high up, and then she got on top of the chicken house, and my wife noticed her. I was making dinner. She went out to tend to the chickens, and she noticed that she was to the left here, this tree area. She was she was over there by the barn, and we couldn't get I actually explained in a video clip coming up here. And she went up to the roof on a higher tree, and we left her there. It was like 2 degrees, and she hadn't eaten all day. I mean, she gets picked on by some of the other chickens, and some of the like little chickens are bantams, and our younger chickens would go to inside this old barn on the left. We have an area, like a little area where the cows used to go, and we can feed them there, and they're laying eggs, the bantams, and they're the ones that get picked on a little bit more. They're smaller. They're not like, this is not a full grown chicken. But she was up on top of the roof, basically on a tree above the roof, and there's no way to get her. She was too high up. It was freezing out. They fluff out their feathers, and they survive the night somehow. And so my wife was asleep. It was like 9 p.m. We were watching TV. She fell asleep, and I was doing the 9 o'clock prayer. We pray that everyone in the world comes to become spiritual every 9 for 15 minutes at 9 o'clock. And I usually don't want the prayer disrupted, but we heard a god-awful scream coming from the fucking outside. And now it's like, 1 or 2 degrees, maybe 0 degrees out there, so it's really cold. And my dogs start barking, and so I knew it was her, that something tried to attack her. I thought she'd probably be dead or carried off, and that she was making some plea. But I went out there, and she was laying at the base of the barn. There were feathers everywhere, and she was okay, and I picked her up. She was squawking like crazy. I mean, she was going to freeze to death where she was. And I brought her in the house for a couple of minutes. My wife, was awake, and we came back out and put her up in the roost, in the hen house, and she's fine. But it was like almost like a miracle. That must have been like an owl, because it was, it's 9 o'clock at night, dark out. I mean, it's a little bit lighter because of the snow, but anyways, so here's some videos about all that.
They are here. She's right here. Is that her? No, that's not. Yeah, that's her there. She's with her mom. Her mom's got her 2 kids. 2 of her kids there. Her mom's the one there. We got all these fucking starlings in here eating the food. Tulsi wants to get at. She's caught a few of them before. The rest of these guys, see, they just went flying out. So this is what we got going. Tulsi either comes in here for the mice or the birds. She's waiting for it. Once in a while they come down low and she'll grab them. She's pretty good at it. The starlings, we have hundreds of them because we're leaving feed out here for all the black-eyed juncos and some of the smaller birds. Anyways, she's back here. She's not outside, which is good. She's probably eating, and yeah.
Okay, so those starlings in the back there, they're an invasive bird. They're not native to America, and they fuck up all the native birds. They come in these monster flocks, like there's hundreds of them. And my wife is throwing out chicken feed in various places for all these like birds to eat. But the starlings will fly into the barn. They pooped all over it. Like, it's just gross. I mean, it's amazing how much poop they can fucking generate. And they were in our other barn. We left it open for the chickens, and I mean, just a fucking mess. And so, like they're not good for the ecosystem, but you can't stop them. Anyways, here, let's continue.
Okay, so the chicken was sleeping up on this, was up on this all day, and then she went up in this area here. We have a net, but couldn't get it in there. We're just catching on too many stuff. There's a lot of sort of this little overhang here. This is our old barn. A really old barn. Then she got up on this roof. Some pallets there. She got up on this roof last night. And she was up on that branch. And then we just left her there because we were like, we can't do anything about that. And then I found her right here. You can see there's all these feathers on the ground. She was coastal. She was in this spot right here when I heard the racket. And the feathers, most likely an owl, I would only think. Some kind of, it was dark out, so there's no clouds, so there's a little bit light out with the sun, with the snow. Possibly a hawk, but the hawks usually wouldn't be hunting at night. It was a little bit brighter than normal, is what I'm saying. But probably an owl, possibly a raccoon, but I don't know. There was no footprints or anything, so. And I picked her up here. We brought her inside for a little bit. She was crowing. She was yelling like crazy, and then she went back.
So here to get sort of kind of a scope. This is just one of the many piles of snow I had to push using a fucking tractor. I'm bundled up with like 2 hats on and fucking, like it's, I got goggles on and it's like fucking freezing. The air's hitting my face as I push the snow. Tractor's not ideal for plowing, but it's, works. And these are about 4.5, 5 feet tall. These piles of snow, they're just everywhere. Like, I don't know where people had parking lots. I mean, I went to the stores yesterday and Whole Foods was, like, they didn't have any cashiers. You had to go through the self-checkout and, like, whatever they have, right? Like, they're just running out of shit and there's no one in the stores. One of the stores I regularly go to is closed. I mean, it's like, you can see how, like, nature, no matter how, advanced your civilization, nature can fucking knock it on its ass. Then we saw this hawk this morning.
A red-tailed hawk it's on the fence before. It's just sitting there behind the fence, which you never see this normally. Just trying to live through the cold.
All right, so let's get into this stuff here. That hawk sat there, was eating something. Must have caught like a little squirrel. We couldn't see it on the ground, but I didn't videotape it. So I don't know if that hawk could have been the one that went after the chicken, but who knows. We do have owls that fly through. So there's a snowdrift we get every year by our other barn, and it's fucking, this is like 4 feet tall this year. It's the tallest it's ever been. It's always right at this particular spot. But like, it's a crazy snowstorm. All right, let's get into the other stuff of the video here. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is, I don't even know where my phone is, but it's Monday, last Monday in January. Here it is. I'm going to find it. Just for, let's keep it real here. January 26th, Monday, January 26th, 2026. So this video isn't going up till Wednesday. I have a video coming up tonight on the shooting that just happened. And then this one going out on Wednesday. So I was watching a basketball game, and we're going to start a little bit with that. I think it was... it might have been the football game. There's a couple of football games that, the football games seem more and more rigged. Like, I've never seen so many close games in my, in one season, so many close games and 2 games that, coming down to the wire where there's, it's the end of the game and there's still a chance for, one of the teams to pull out the, whatever it is. And this is the Supergirl trailer, right? Okay, there's the super dog. He's pretty funny. And there's this music going on. There's Supergirl. There's a dog again. There she is doing that. This has nothing to do with why I'm showing you this. I don't even know why I'm showing this part. All right, so Supergirl, she kicks ass. And then comes to the end of it here, right? A lot of guys getting hit, and then so there's the super thing. See if there's any. It's a Blondie song. All right, here, let's see if this will. I don't want to get the fucking copyright for the song. Only in theaters. 6/26/26. And they said it in the trailer that I saw. It was like a little teaser. And they said, only in theaters. I'll see if I can find that one. Only in theaters, 6/26/26, right? Of course, you have like the 666 here. Now, you know, they picked the 26th of June in 2026. But they didn't have to pick June, right? So it could have been 5/26/26, right? But they've decided to pick June 26th, so you got the 3/6s here. And really, I mean, laying it out there. So, I don't cover this kind of stuff anymore. I mean, barely ever, but, this is worth covering. Let me see if I can find the other one where they say the words. So I found this on Twitter. I guess maybe they didn't say it out loud. I don't know. Maybe that's how I kind of remembered it, but whatever. So Jason Momoa is in this movie, and he always sucks. He's just goofy. But he plays this character named Lobo, and this says Jason Momoa as Lobo in Supergirl. They're playing that fucking stupid music again. There he is. Smoking a cigar, looking tough. Look, I'm a tough guy. Look at me, I'm tough. I'm Lobo. The problem with this is he made a couple of bad movies as Aquaman, 3 bad movies as Aquaman, right? Like the Justice League and Aquaman 1 and Aquaman 2. Let me just show you that one scene. We're getting away from the 666 thing. But, this guy was a prominent hero not that long ago. He had his own 2 movies. And now he's a different guy. Like, boom, he's saying something here. Let's see what he's saying.
Finally.
Boom. And here it is. Call me. Supergirl. DC Studios. 6/26/26. All right. Let me just show that one Aquaman trailer, and then I can move on to the shooting stuff. Okay, so the Aquaman first movie was released on December 21st, the solstice. So DC's really with the 666 and the solstice. The winter solstice. But this is like the gayest thing ever here. Not this.
They made me what I am. Permission to come aboard?
That was so gay. Permission, the way he looks around is bad acting.
Permission to come aboard?
He's so bad at acting, that's okay. But this girl's in it here. Remember her?
Do your best thinking when you're not thinking at all.
That girl, Amber Heard, who, he was good friends with Johnny Depp, so he basically cut her out of the second movie, which, was, equally as bad. She had this weird fucking hair. Aquaman was always just like he was a blonde gay dude that talked to animals. So anyway, the DC thing is a mess. All right, so let's get into the stuff with the shooter now. Okay, so let's get into this here. So the Golden State Warriors basketball game between the Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota was canceled on Saturday, and I thought it was because of the snow. And then they played the game on Sunday, but the snow didn't reach up to Minnesota, at least not much of it. This snowstorm, oddly enough, was a southern and central part of, went through the sort of center point of America and left the northern part, which gets all the snow normally, pretty much untouched. But there's snowstorms going on there, as we saw in Denver. There's a fucking blizzard hit in the middle of the playoff game yesterday. And so this game wasn't canceled because of the snow. It was canceled because of the shooting. And And so they're going to have to cancel a lot of games because, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So this guy, Steve Kerr, who's a liberal piece of shit, very vocal about his liberal. The reason I'm saying that is because, well, let's watch this part here.
Telling me that the league was thinking about postponing the game, and then
Yeah,
Chris called our meeting, our coaches meeting yesterday. I had already gotten a couple of texts from Mike Dunleavy telling me that the league was thinking about.
He's the GM of their team, the general manager of the Warriors.
Postponing the game, and then Chris called me. We talked, and
Chris Finch, who's the coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I told him we didn't have a great sense of anything, that we were really going to lean on them. It's their city, and I talked to Joe Ingles. He called me.
An Australian player from the Timberwolves who got into a fight with one of their players in the makeup game. An NBA pushing match fight.
Kind of to tell me that all their players were feeling really uneasy about everything. And so I told Chris and Joe, we trust you guys. We trust the league, whatever makes the most sense. So,
the most sense was to cancel the game and then play it the very next day when when really nothing had happened. And, inconvenienced everybody there, the fans, whatever.
Ultimately, obviously the game was postponed. I totally agree with the decision. Everything should be about safety and concern for not only the players and the fans, but everybody here in Minneapolis.
Yeah, exactly. If anybody gets murdered, we're going to cancel the game.
With what's going on.
So the reason I have a problem with him and the liberals, this was a straight-up murder. It's fucked up, what Trump did. And, and I'm going to get into the Trump stuff as we go through other video clips of this. What a piece of shit Trump is, and what a piece of shit all the Trumpers are. And there's a video clip I just saw of Kristi Noem. This guy pushed for the vax and all liberal shit, right? Big fan of Joe Biden. They pushed back against the George Floyd stuff and all that kind of bullshit that happened. And there's been 2 murders by ICE of American citizens and as many whatever the number of murders of illegal immigrants, and those are still murders because, people come into the country illegally. There's no death sentence for that, right? You deport them. They don't even go to jail most times, right? And so, it's a fucked up thing to be killing anybody. And, this whole weird shit that's going on, whatever is real or not. I just did a video about Will Smith talking about the slap. He's doing the rounds again. And I'm putting that up on my other channel. It'll already be up. This video is going up on Wednesday, and that'll be up Tuesday. Today's Monday for me. So, with all the shit that was going on with the George Floyd and all that stuff, these guys pushed for the vax. And the vax and COVID is going to have, it's already had catastrophic effects, and it's going to get worse. And a lot of that, because all the stuff with Joe Biden, they're pushing, and Trump too, pushing the vax, and then all the other things with it, we're already seeing, the numbers are extraordinarily high. I think it's at least tens of thousands of people that are having heart, related deaths and things like this, cancer, turbo cancer, whatever it might be. And that's not even acknowledged. So, 2 people were killed, but what about all the fucking people that are suffering from, the COVID as some fucking biological weapon and the vax and all the other things, right? That Biden put into place, and Trump was a part of that too. They're both fucked. They're both pieces of shit. But you're concerned about this one thing. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? This is just a minor thing. It's one death, and how many deaths are there per year in Minneapolis, right? So there's
How much have you been following the news?
I've been following everything. It's very sad. This has always been a great stop on the NBA tour. I love the city of Minneapolis. The people here are wonderful. And
the one time I went there was very nice. I considered living there. But there's people scraping gum off the ground like it was Disney World. Like it was a very clean city. Cold as fuck, right? I mean, just but it seemed like a nice place to live.
It's very sad what's happening. I feel for the city. There's a pall that has been cast over the city. You can feel it, and a lot of people are suffering. Obviously, loss of life is the number one concern. Those families will never get their family members back. And
Yeah, they won't get anything back. They'll get fucking slammed for being parents of a terrorist, right? Like, that's how Trump's rolling. The country's fucked. Like, you should be much farther along than all this. Like, everybody who's talking about these things should realize, the stuff that happened under Biden and the censorship and all the other bullshit that he did, and certainly the vax crimes and all the other shit that went on with him, and Trump, bleeding into Trump and the COVID bullshit and all the other stuff, and where we are now, where we're headed. Like, they just don't care about your opinion anymore. And they want you to protest so they can crack down more on people. And this is what they're saying. We can fucking shoot you in the fucking face and in the back, and nothing's going to happen. And that's like the message that you should be receiving, that they don't care about. Like, it's been there for a while. The customer is no longer right. They don't care about your complaints. And the only thing that they're worried about is the mob. And they pretty much have that under control because they're not, most of the people are leaving, people with wealth are leaving leaving America or whatever it might be. Like, they're going to their safe havens. And depopulation's a big part of this. My wife and I were talking about these data centers, and they're just sucking up way too much electricity and water. That's already, they can't do solar or wind because they're so inefficient compared to the needs of these fucking data centers they're putting everywhere. And so, the robotic stuff and the software stuff and the AI stuff and the way that those things are going to replace the need for humans. And you think about, like, you look at most of the people, they're just walking around like zombies waiting for somebody to just put an end to it. So this is happening. There's going to be massive depopulation. And then all these other things are going to disappear. Your lifestyle is going to be a complete switch. But, that's like their plan, and their plan isn't going to go to plan. There's going to be interventions from a divine level. Like, there's a point where you get disempowered. Like, every empire falls, every powerful organization, everything that's been on planet Earth. I mean, there's just, like, you see it in nature, you see it with humans. Things only last for so long. America's going to collapse, and then there's going to be, whatever it's going to be to try to salvage some aspect of our civilization. But at some point, this is just going to be gone. Like, this power structure, all the religions, all the governments, the countries will be named differently. It'll be a completely different world. And there'll be a lot less fucking people. Because, there's just a lot of people that are of lower consciousness. And the only way to make this planet move forward, at least in terms of the human consciousness, is to have a civilization of higher developed souls. And there's only so many of those available. People with, like, the ability for your contemplative type of situation where they can connect to God and have abstract thought and these things. There's a lot of people that just don't have that ability or capacity. And so that's, so, I mean, if there's 1 billion of those people, I'd be shocked. People with spiritual tendencies and the capacity for a spiritual life. Anyways, let's get back into some of the other stuff here. I think he says it's...
when all the unrest settles down, whenever that is, those family members won't be returning home, and that's devastating.
I guess, what has the emotion been like just around the team as all this is unfolding? How would you describe that?
I think, we met yesterday during actually 2 days ago, I'm sorry. We met when we arrived. We had a film session from the night before, and we could see 20,000 people from our hotel view, from my room. You could see the streets were body to body. And so we met as a team and, talked a little bit about what was going on and, just to be safe, be careful. And then obviously we thought we were going to play yesterday and didn't meet because of the time of the game. And then we started to get word, and that's when, we some of the players were already over here warming up, and so a lot of them stayed and just got workouts in, that sort of thing, and then, waited until...
All right, so somebody was going to say it's a somber mood. But, because I used to talk about somber ties. This guy's wearing a somber tie. Those were the good old days. All right, let's move on to something else. The same stuff, but something more unsports related. Okay, so here, let's just start here.
These are not just agitators anymore, they're violent protests. In fact, the state and the city of Minneapolis abandoned this area in downtown Minneapolis because they couldn't control the situation by the amount of people that have come in.
Okay, so the protests are run by the same people who are running Trump, and the people running the left and running the right. I mean, it's all the money that goes into this, the organization, the media coverage, all that shit, right? Like it's all a fucking show to move everybody in a direction that isn't what people want, right? And I don't think that a reduction in lifestyle is a bad thing, and I don't think I mean, it's all relative to whatever's going on. But people don't want it, but that is whatever it is. But it isn't like we're moving to a more spiritual way of being. Like it's moving away from God and having a shittier material life, right? Like you could have a great spiritual life and not so good material life. And many cultures have had that, or at least had a more natural life. Aboriginal cultures, tribal cultures, living more like, natural people. But you're not going to get that at all. You're going to get more unnatural. You're going to get less spiritual, and you're going to get poorer, right? Like it's a big fuck it on all three of these, possibilities.
Just trying to disrupt and impede law enforcement operations. And, frankly, this didn't turn violent until we uncovered the fraud in Minneapolis. We were there. ICE and CBP have been there and operating for years in Minneapolis. We saw the violence start to happen when the fraud became uncovered of the billions of dollars that was stolen from American taxpayers under the leadership of Governor Walz.
Okay, so, why are they not arrested and being prosecuted, and are they ever going to be, right? So you're going to arrest some of these protesters, you already have. You arrested these people that went into the church, they've already been arrested. Why isn't Governor Walz and the other dude, the mayor, arrested? Why aren't they being prosecuted for this thing? Why aren't they in the pipeline to go into prison? Just like with Trump, I said the same thing about Trump, right? It takes forever to arrest one of these people or to make these, lawsuits and all the shit that Trump went through. Trump was convicted of like 40 felonies. What happened to all that shit? How did he get elected president as a convicted felon? Like it's all fucking smoke and mirrors. It's not fucking real, right? Otherwise, you put these motherfuckers in jail. They're all corrupt. Biden pardoned all those people, and Trump said he'd go after them, and he didn't. But he's going after Walz, who's a fucking little fish, gay-ass, weird fucking Tim Walz and his weird fucking wife, right? Remember, he was like, those guys are weird, right? It's so weird. And it was like, yeah, do you look in the fucking mirror? Do you look at your fucking wife, right? Weird fucking kids, right? And so, why is he not good? All right, he's committed a crime. Why isn't he in jail? Why is he not moving forward? Again, those people for the church are arrested. They're making a big thing about Don Lemons. And so none of this stuff is funny. It's also fucking fake, right?
Mayor Fry.
You just need one person shot, or you just need, martial law going to one place, and then you violated posse comitatus. And there's no effects of that. There's no, consequences for bringing in troops, and that's just going to be done over and over again, right? Now, it doesn't have, they don't have to go full fucking in at this point. They just got to establish the precedent, right? And that's what's happening with Trump and, what happened with Biden for certain things. And, all along, these presidents have been grabbing more power and doing more shit, more executive orders, and there's no culpability. There's no checks and balances. Like, people are not, really seeing this. They're just seeing the show and, all the stuff that's happening. All the way back to when I said when Clinton didn't quit when he got caught, with Monica Lewinsky in the fucking Oval Office, right?
Media outlets are reporting about inner turmoil within the Department of Homeland Security over the tactics ICE agents are using. Conservative commentator Eric Erickson posted on social media, citing multiple conservative news organizations, that Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem has essentially marginalized White House border czar Tom Homan and the head of Border Patrol for prioritizing deportations of criminals and gang members. That's because Erickson contends that Noem and DHS senior advisor Corey Lewandowski wanted broad public roundups without prioritizing undocumented immigrants.
Okay, so, we've heard about chaos there before, but nothing ever comes of it, right? Let's go through some of these Morning Joe things. If there's anything here more.
Yep. Robert George wrote this last night. The DHS's decision to whitewash the Renee Good killing, leading to the resignation of an FBI agent trying to investigate the incident, directly led to...
What could she possibly be writing here? She said, "What, you doing a journal fucking diary entry, Mika?" Today I got a rash on my scrotum. I'm really sick of this motherfucker over here and his weird fucking hairdo. I don't know why I ended up fucking marrying him and working with him. I can't fucking stand it any longer.
The killing of Alex Preddy. ICE agents believed there would be no consequences for using extreme force against protesters, and ordinary citizens realized that increased video scrutiny was their main line of defense against violent occupation. That's just what you said. They are acting with impunity, and as Robert George says, they're acting with impunity because they...
All right, so they had something this morning. I went in there to eat breakfast, and they have, I had put on, I taped their show, so I started off from the beginning. They had some local sheriff talking about how everyone wants ICE out, and fucking, there was no murders, and they got rid of all these violent criminals, and they went through the city, and they did all this stuff, and they were disarming people, and they didn't shoot one person, and now ICE has gone and killed 3 people, 2 of them American citizens, in a week. But this is the point, right? They're not trying to de-escalate anything. I've already said that. There was 15 videos on MS Now, and I'm not even looking at CNN. I'm just going to go through this, listen to them whine for a little bit here.
Meanwhile, Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on Saturday, the day of the shooting, laying out a series of orders she said would restore the rule of law in Minneapolis. In her 3-page letter obtained by...
Okay, why isn't she fucking arresting him? Who's in charge of this fucking massive billion-dollar scam? Who's in charge of the criminal application? You've released information to the public, which you won't do at all for the fucking Charlie Kirk murder. That's taken another fucking year before that kid even goes to trial for the the first stage of trial. It's not going to happen for another whole fucking year, 2027. And then, you're arresting these church protesters and other people on a daily basis, and you're releasing information. Then go and fucking arrest the guy. Arrest the fucking guy if he's done something, or fucking shut up about it and stop pretending you're working with him. You have to make a decision here whether he's a fucking felon who scammed all kinds of funds. If the guy has scammed all kinds of funds, then why would you be counting on him to cooperate with the federal government and give him more funds to do it, right?
The New York Times, Bondi urges Walz to share state records of everyone who is collecting welfare benefits like Medicare, repeal state sanctuary city policies, and allow the Justice Department to access Minnesota's voter rolls. Walz dismissed the letter, saying it was not a serious attempt to de-escalate tensions.
Okay, they want to escalate tensions. Look at this fucking guy out here.
Spontaneously set here by people from this community. It's grown substantially just in the couple of days that I've been here. Yesterday we saw pretty large crowds.
Okay, so how long have those candles been burning? There's no people around.
Assembled here during the course of the day, but I have to say that the atmosphere of those crowds was quite somber, quite subdued, quite mournful.
It's so fucking somber. It's fucking somber. Just look at this somber motherfucker with his North Face jacket, right? But they just put all this shit. There's a bunch of candles burning. How long have they been burning? It's how cold it is. Did you guys just light that? It's just, where are all the fucking people, right? That's putting all this shit out there, all this crap that's got to be scooped up and thrown away, flowers and fucking bullshit, and fucking, all right. Let's move on to the next thing. This is going to be great here.
And they claim that he was a domestic terrorist that wanted to slaughter law enforcement officers. No, he was actually killed for being a good Samaritan.
That tells you what you get for being a good Samaritan. Good Samaritans finish last. That's what we're telling you, right? Who is this? Why does he have the Queen? Joe Scarborough have the Queen on his? Is this his X profile or his fucking? What is this? It's Joe Scarborough's social media. He's got this picture up here. The storm is not gathering, it is here.
And that's what the Wall Street Journal said. That's what our expert just said. He got involved. He was killed because he's a good Samaritan. But here's the second part of the story for Republicans to chew on and so-called conservatives, people who may have used to have been conservative but are conservative no longer, for them to chew on. After the White House was called out in their lies, you then had administration officials going on Sunday shows going, yeah, well, okay, maybe all those things we said before were lies. Maybe they weren't true, but show the picture. But this is what he deserves because he was carrying a gun. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary.
Okay, why don't you show them? You don't know how to do this? Show him saying that shit, right? Scott Bessent said he deserves this because he was carrying a gun. Is there a fucking clip of him saying that? Like, where the fuck? Like, that would be important to do, right? Because that would violate the Second Amendment bullshit. You know, that would go against it. They're saying anybody carrying a gun can get shot in the fucking head by ICE or shot in the back. I mean, this is, you know, like, just look at this thing. This is fucking guys got fucking murdered. And they're not going to prosecute. I mean, I'd be shocked if they did. Like, you know, that would make them pussies, right? Like, fucking backing down on their lies. Here's Scott Bessent, and this is, I don't know why this is so poorly used, but here's what he said.
He is fomenting chaos because there is substantial waste, fraud, and abuse. My job as Treasury Secretary is to investigate that. And I think that, you know, this chaos that's going out there, and again, I am sorry that this gentleman is dead, but he did bring a 9mm semi-automatic weapon with 2 cartridges to what was supposed to be a peaceful protest. I think that there are a lot of paid...
All right, so it's just as easy, Joe Scarborough. Why didn't you fucking do this? Why didn't you fucking do this? Like, MSNBC now has some of these people here. You know, I mean, to reverse yourself on the Second Amendment, like, this isn't going to fucking fly. I mean, you know, Jesus Christ. If the fucking... Second Amendment people, you know, all these people who are big in the Second Amendment back this shit, right? That you could get shot for carrying a lawfully carrying a registered weapon, then, you know, like, holy shit, you've lost everything here. They can just shoot you in the head after they take your gun, right? Hey, you brought a gun here and we got your gun and you're no longer a threat here. Take a couple in the fucking back. They're covering this here as well about the...
Former CNN host Don Lemon says that despite the fact a judge blocked the DOJ's effort to arrest him, he thinks the Trump administration will find a way to get it done. But first, Robbie, what's on your radar?
Well, come on, Robbie.
Very serious subject to hit right off the bat today.
You know, you guys and your serious subjects. Why don't you have something light?
Customs and Border Protection agents shot and killed a U.S. citizen in Minneapolis, Minnesota, outside a restaurant on Saturday. The victim is 37-year-old Alex Preddy. He was licensed to carry a firearm, and he had one with him. The available footage does not show every detail of what happened, but Preddy was holding a cell phone rather than his gun when the officers initiated contact and when they began wrestling him to the ground. Trump administration officials, including Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, have already declared the killing completely justified, claiming that Preddy had intended to murder law enforcement agents.
Okay, so, I mean, you have to be fucking retarded to believe that. Because, you know, he's decided to be a good Samaritan before he went to murder. Why didn't he come in with guns blazing? Like, he never have his gun in his hand. So he's going to was that on his to-do list? Did you find a to-do list in his pocket? Be a good Samaritan, check. Go get ICE agents. Go shoot ICE agents number 2. And number 3, run like hell while you're being shot. Because, you know, if he's going to pull out his gun, he's dead. He's outgunned, right? And so it's not like he's sitting there on a sniper rifle. Did he write a manifesto? Did you guys find his manifesto yet? Like,
there is no evidence of this, none whatsoever, which is making it difficult for me to avoid the conclusion that, frankly, the administration is just prepared to brazenly lie about what happened. Now, regular viewers will know that I don't say that lightly. I am not generally prone to hyperbole. I think these clashes between law enforcement and the protesters are difficult to scrutinize and have brought out a lot of confident, bold, and wrong claims from people Republican official
protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We will, of course, always protect your First Amendment speech. And if you peacefully protest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you have seen a trend here, not just in Minnesota, but across the country.
That's very wrong. Here,
let's wait. Did you say something about bringing a gun? This fucking. Here we go.
Tell.
As Christie said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
Boom. You can't do that. He's against the Second Amendment. So that's Kash Patel.
Don't have that right to.
So that's Kash Patel. I don't know who else they got here. This clown. Oh, we saw Scott Bessent. We already saw that. So these guys have it going on the Hill. I don't know why.
Look, I'm sorry. This is not true. They have no evidence.
This is what Stephen Miller said, that piece of shit. So, the conservatives are now coming out against him. Thomas Massey, carrying a firearm is not a death sentence. It's constantly protected a God-given right. It's not God-given. God didn't fucking give you that right, dumb fuck. And if you don't understand this, you have no business in law enforcement of the government. So the conservatives are starting to backlash in this thing or whatever. You get the idea. But, Trump doesn't fucking understand the Second Amendment. I showed you that before. Let me place that video of him giving Dianne Feinstein a ghoulgasm because he was going to give her everything before someone gave him a talking to. Here's that meme here.
And we haven't had them, and I'm talking Democrat and Republican presidents. They have not stepped up.
Mr. President, the difference is this. There's not a person in West Virginia that believes that you're not going to defend their Second Amendment rights. Not a person. With you taking a lead on something like this, it gives them the comfort that something reasonable in this.
So that's the first part, because what he says there is very important. Well, the first thing Trump says, no one else got it done, which is a huge thing for Trump. He's going to say it again up here, so I'll wait to comment. I'll comment it on that there. But him saying, Joe Manchin saying that West Virginians, if it comes from you, they'll trust it. When it comes from a Republican, they'll say, all right, yeah, this guy won't grab our guns. And, Trump's going to say this thing. We'll get into it in a second, where he's going to say, first we get the guns first. But, this is like when Obama went after whistleblowers or was doing war-like things, and the Democrats were like, well, Obama wouldn't be a warmonger, so Obama's a good guy. This is the same thing. That, that's the dangerous part about Trump, because Trump isn't a Republican, and he doesn't give a shit about these things, and he's not thoughtful or he doesn't do research. He just takes a quick position on something, hearing very little about it, knowing almost nothing about it. And then he sticks to that position because he thinks he's God, and whatever he thinks has to be great because he's the best, right? But here he says, first we get the guns.
Conservatives. But take the guns first, go through due process second.
Take the guns first and go through due process second. Holy shit. He actually said that shit, right? He fucking said that shit.
Conservatives. But take the guns first, go through due process second.
So it starts off here.
Are nothing new. I asked for just a list of, you look at Columbine, Colorado, Bill Clinton was president. Virginia Tech, George Bush. Fort Hood, Sandy Hook, San Bernardino, Pulse nightclub, and so many more.
So one of the things that Trump loves is his signature like personality trait. You hear him say it all the time about Joe Biden couldn't get it done. No president in history has gotten this done. These things, he loves to do things other people can't or wouldn't have done, right? Or they couldn't do. There was a time when Trump was really popular. He went on David Letterman, and David Letterman was gushing over the guy because Trump took over the Central Park had an ice skating rink, and these people had butchered it and did a horrible job. And Trump somehow came in. This is a young Trump, right? Like 40 years ago. And Trump came in and with whatever Trump was doing, and he was able to do it at a lower cost to the city. And he took on this project, and David Letterman was praising him for, saving the ice skating rink, right? This iconic thing in Central Park. And Trump loves that shit, being able to do things cheaper and better and faster, Operation Warp Speed. And they say it'll take 2 years and I can do it in 6 months. Like, that's Trump's stuff. No other president's ever been able to do this. And so all you have to do is say, all these other presidents failed, but none of them could do it. And Trump will immediately try to do that, especially in his first term, when he really wanted to prove himself to everybody. And so he's doing this with gun control because he doesn't give a shit about the political ramifications. He just cares about everyone going, hey, Trump did something no one else could do, because that's his big thing. You can see it because he talks about it all the time.
It's ridiculous. But maybe we could make it much more comprehensive and have one bill instead of 15 different bills that nobody knows what's happening.
If we can get 60 votes for it, Mr. President,
I think you can. Honestly, I think, look, I really believe this is one of the things where you can actually get the 60 votes and maybe easily. Diane, do you have something?
Well, I do, Mr. President. You probably know this, but I became mayor of San Francisco as a product of assassination. I've been the victim of terrorist groups. The department gave me a weapon. They taught me how to shoot it, and we proceeded through the 1970s that way. What I've watched and seen is the development of weapons that I never thought would leave the battlefield, that are out on our streets. And the latest and newest, Mr. Chairman, is the AR-15.
Kaboom.
It's got a lot of assets to it, and it's misused, and it tears apart a human body with the velocity. And I've watched the school shootings in particular, which you pointed out, and I thought Sandy Hook, and I'm delighted that Senator Murphy is here today. We thought Sandy Hook would be the end, and he and I introduced another assault weapons bill after the first one. We didn't succeed with it, but the killings have gone on, the number of incidents have gone up.
Okay, so it goes on. She talks about this quite a bit, and this is, I'm just giving her some framework. So Trump then gives her a ghoulgasm here.
That is more than we lost for brave troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so just doing something on this background check issue and using that as a base, and then I would like to add some of these other things we've talked about, I think would make a major difference.
So if you could add that to this bill, that would be great, Diane. If you could add what you have also, and I think you can, into the bill.
Yeah. Joe, are you ready?
Can you do that, Joe?
That was the ghoulgasm that I spoke of, right? I found it. I was looking through, I was trying to find the Joe Manchin thing, which I think is coming up here. But this is the ghoulgasm. Watch it again. She says she wants Diane Goulstein's stuff to go into the bill. And, you know, remember she died with $110 million worth of assets and all that stuff.
I think would make a major difference.
So if you could add that to this bill, that would be great, Diane. If you could add what you have also, and I think you can, into the bill.
Yeah. Joe, are you ready?
Can you do that? Joe, can you do that? Pat, can you add some of the things? You're not going to agree with me.
If you help.
Well, no, I'll help, but can you add what Amy and what Diane have? Can we add them in? And I know you can add what John has.
So, you know, I call this Dianne Feinstein having a ghoulgasm. Okay, this is Erica J. Kirk. I got a bunch of stuff people have sent me, anti-Zionist stuff, which I'll get to in a moment. I guess it ties in with this thing with her. A few other things that are up on my toolbar just to get to that I didn't get to before. And we'll see how long this video is. I might go for some comments. But this is Erica J. Kirk, and she says this.
Tell me about your experiences in fashion. I did not go to fashion school, but I am self-taught, so...
Wait a minute. You self-taught yourself fashion? Well, you must be some sort of a genius. Why do they even have fashion school? Like, I mean, I don't think very much of fashion school is how to make clothes, right? Which would be the hard part. Like, the skill to make clothes. You know, a lot of the shit, who gives a shit, right? I mean, what am I going to talk about fashion for? But you self-taught yourself fashion?
I graduated with political science and international relations, and although that background to some might seem a little bit foreign to the fashion world, I think that it's actually very helpful because fashion...
So explain that. Explain why those two polarized worlds would have almost nothing to do with each other. And it doesn't like you got whatever political bullshit she just said she got trained for, which shows you who she is, right? Like this is, and you know, someone mentioned in one of the comments that she moved back to Arizona when she won Miss Arizona. Like she wasn't even living in Arizona; she was living in California, trying to, you know, hoe it up and be a celebrity, you know, whatever she was doing, right? And then she moved back to Arizona. Like she had all these different wars. She was going to make that movie that never came to fruition. She was trying to be on that reality TV show. She was trying to hook up with one of the TPUS gay, you know, prominent figures. She was dating a professional basketball player, right? Like, you know, she was living in New York, trying to be a model, and you know, being in music videos. And then she had the Miss U. I mean, she's got a lot of ambition, right? Like she's, you know.
Is international, and you have to understand people because the consumer is what's buying your product. And if you are able to create a line
Okay, so enough of this bullshit. Unless somebody sent me this, it's just an old video. They got all these videos popping up. I can go down a little bit further, see if there's anything.
some sense, and being able to wear that proudly, and it speaks for
Okay, I can't do anymore. We'll come back to this stuff if there's anything else to do with Candace Owens. Probably not today. I'm not sure if she's going to have anything tonight that's going to, you know, I just don't really want to. It's the whole thing. You guys know I'm over the whole thing, so we'll see. All right, so there's another video of her coming up tomorrow or today from you know, Tuesday. This video, this clip here was from Monday. Today's Tuesday. But I'm going to get back into the whole shooting thing with fucking cunty Megyn Kelly and her cunty bunch of commenters and all the rest of it. Wow, big fucking hawk just flew by my window. Something. Wow. I just saw it go out. I don't know. Anyways, this stuff is going to come back around here. I have a bunch of Zionist stuff to get to here first, and then from yesterday, and then tomorrow, you know, today, there'll be all this, you know, revisiting the shooting and all the goofiness from the right and all that stuff. This is all shit that people sent to me that has to do with Zionism. One of the things they can't show, I just showed it to my wife. It just, the person who send it to me knows. Somebody sent me something on Instagram. It just crosses a bunch of lines. But this one, breaking, Benjamin Netanyahu has accepted a senior position on Trump's Board of Peace. That's a good one. Okay, so this is Benjamin Netanyahu at the AIPAC conference in 2018. And one of my viewers sent me an Instagram video, and I wasn't sure if they was dubbed, you know, dubbed, you know, AI'd. But this is not. This is what he says here.
Punching 200 times above our weight. Not 2 times, not 10 times, not 100 times, 200 times above our weight. That's one heck of a punch. Very strong. Now here's how the dots connect. Because we have this tremendous capacity for security and intelligence, and because we have this tremendous capacity for civilian technology, for making the lives of people richer, safer, more productive, many countries...
Boy, he's so annoying, just the way he talks.
...are coming to Israel because they want to share with us these benefits. And that creates the third great change, which is a flourishing of Israel's diplomatic relations around the world. You know, when I joined the Foreign Service 105 years ago,
boom,
as the DCM to this city, Washington, the number 2 in our embassy, I think we had about 80 or 90 countries.
So AIPAC is the big pro-Israeli lobbying group, right? So he's speaking to the lobbying group, and he's going to drop this Greenland thing here.
With whom we had diplomatic relations. Now the number is 160, and there are very few countries left. By the way, what are we doing with Greenland? We got to do something with Greenland. Where's my advanced team? Go to Greenland. They must have some satellite needs or something that we could do there. But we are coloring the world blue. I've been to Africa.
I was talking about how he had a blue tie on. I was thinking about Oh, he had a blue tie on. It's funny that he said this in 2018 when Trump was president, his first term, and now, he's trying to annex Greenland. There's a bigger video. You can see the picture of Greenland. All these, I don't know if they have here's the map here. So you have all these countries that are blue. These are all associated with Israel somehow, almost like, and then they want to make this blue, right? Like he's looking at this going, well, we got all these motherfuckers. Why wouldn't we have Greenland? And, Trump's making it happen for him. Trump, go Trump. The fucking Trumpers, right?
Decided to break a convention too, or create a new one, and that is to award
Tradition.
The Israel Prize, which in almost our 80 years, we've never awarded it to a non-Israeli.
I wonder who's going to get it.
And we're going to award it this year to President Trump. This was announced formally over lunch by our Minister of Education, who's responsible for the Israel Prize.
Israel Prize. Trump won the Israel Prize. And he won the American. Israel won the American prize. It just worked out good for everybody. So holy shit, right? So there's that. So again, these were all sent to me by. All these were sent to me by people in a 2-week period. So and I ignore some of these things. Like I don't get to all of them, or sometimes things are sent twice. Like multiple people send me the same thing. But here is a young comedian here, and this kind of shows you where young people are at.
Found a bunch of money on the ground at a Target. I didn't even keep the money. That's where I'm at financially. $500. I swear to God this happened. Craziest day of my life. $500 envelope. It was like a Hallmark card from like a grandmother to a granddaughter and $500 in it. And I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted to keep it. I really did. It was hard for me. I need that money and I wanted to keep it, but I didn't do it. Okay, I've been trying to grow as a person, trying to become a better person. I did the right thing. I did the American thing. I sent it to Israel.
Fuck. Kaboom. So you probably knew where that was going because of the context of everything else I'm covering here. But again, this is people sending me this stuff. Like this more than anything else is repeating, or memes that I see. None of these things are all sent to me, but oftentimes I see memes and things like this on Facebook. When I go on Facebook, if I scroll through Instagram, which I'm more likely to scroll through Facebook, and probably once a week tops. But anytime I scroll through these things, there's plenty of these memes. The sentiment about anti-Israel stuff is growing and not shrinking. So I'm not sure when this or who sent this to me, but it was when we were about to invade Iran again, right? Like we were going to bomb Iran or whatever that was happening. And so this was sent maybe 2 weeks ago, and then that got moved over because we were going to take Greenland instead after that whole thing happened with Venezuela, which is out of the news now. And then the ICE people shot another dude in the face. And so that's where we're at, right? Like,
All right, Mohammed is brushing his teeth. This is my grandparents, Bibi and Baba. I'm half Persian, and they will be so proud now, knowing that Iran is falling and finally there's a revolution happening. But did you know that it says in the Torah, before Mashiach comes, Paras, Persia, will fall to the hands of Edom. Edom is the Western world.
Edom? You mean Adam? Right?
Let's say Trump. In Chassidus it explains that Mashiach will only come once these klippas, these shells, blocking godliness in this world will be removed. So every kingdom has its shell. The shell of Persia is...
Okay, you guys, to say that what you do in terms of your religion is godly, the God that's presented, I'm going to go in on some fucking dopey, Old Testament motherfuckers in the comment section, so I'm not going to cover it here. We'll get to that later.
Creed as Knafaim is spreading yourself out without leaving a space for God. Achashverosh ruled the entire world back in the day. He was the king of the entire earth. So now we're lowering down. Ayatollah Khomeini is an extremely arrogant and stubborn man. And we're so close to the coming of Mashiach. And we see these signs in real time. And once Persia will fall...
Holy shit. You think things are going to be great when that happens? These prophecies aren't going to work out the way that you think they are, right? All right, so enough of this guy. Okay, let's hear the prophecy.
And we're so close to the coming of Mashiach. And we see these signs in real time. And once Persia will fall, the world would know that there's nothing more to to the world and God. That recognition will lead to Mashiach.
Okay, so that's not going to do shit, right? Persia falling is, again, what now is Iran falling is not going to have anything to do with people believing in God. And the God of the Old Testament, the God that the Jewish people believe in, is a sociopathic piece of shit. That's not God, some kind of demon, because it's, I've talked about this, and I'll cover it more when I go to the voiceover. I don't even remember this. I think it's along the same lines. This is probably like 3 weeks old.
Bet you didn't see this. If what I'm about to show you isn't one of the craziest things that you've heard in a long, long time, watch this.
A couple months ago, ADL announced a new partnership with the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. I'm sure you never heard of it. It is the organizing table for Latino evangelicals. Do you know the fastest growing segment of the evangelical community? Latinos. We have roughly 2,000 active synagogues in America. There are 42,000 active Hispanic evangelical churches. Right now, the ADL is co-writing Sunday school curriculum with them.
So this is...
Well, way to go. Way to go, Josh Greenblatt. It's a good thing you're doing that. It's a good thing you're doing that shit because, why would you have Christians write their own Sunday school curriculum? Like, holy shit, right? So, you think that he would say that without a straight fucking face. All right, so there's that. Okay, so Twitter recommended this to me this morning. I was a little bit groggy. I'm going to be talking about one of our chickens, this chicken named Goldie, which you've already heard about because this will be in the beginning of the video, but we're up late nights with that. And the snow. But they recommended this because people are just like hating on Erica J. Kirk now. And here is the...
Hi, I'm Junior Renteria, national makeup artist for Rain Cosmetics, here with Erica, Miss Arizona. Hi.
Hi. She really likes the gay dudes. I mean, she's always surrounded by gay dudes. She likes the fake smile and she likes gay dudes.
So Erica, what are some of your favorite products from Rain Cosmetics?
I absolutely love Lifeguard Lover, mostly because it has that beachy, bronzy feel to it. And
it's got a peachy, bronzy feel? It just feels so peachy and bronzy. Everyone likes peachy and bronzy. Erica Franzig, bringing the fucking knowledge.
I am pale, but I get tan during the summertime.
You don't look pale today at all.
Not today because of this incredible product. But
because this incredible product that you can own. Look at this dude's hair, right? This is 2012. So there's going to be lots of videos on her. I wonder what her talent was. Don't they have a talent? Like they have a talent somewhere? If that was, I don't want to know enough to search for it and have to go find it. But seeing her play the violin or do some, I wonder what her talent is.
not only that, I love the fact that I can use it as a...
Is her talent marrying gay dudes and then plotting to assassinate them and then taking over their company? Is that a workable talent for a Miss Miss USA person?
Not only a bronzing product, but a contouring product.
And I love it that your forehead and your cheeks.
Yes.
So going with that, what do you like to highlight about your face as your Rain Cosmetics? What are your best features?
I really like to highlight my cheeks because I have a full face, and so I really like the fact that I can use something like this to just kind of tuck in my little cheekbones so you can see them, and then contour a little bit on my forehead and also my nose. So it works out really well. And on top of that...
What is there more? Fucking more? Is there a bonus to this thing? I mean, isn't you talking to this gay dude when you were, Miss Arizona enough when you were living out of state in California? But you can win Miss California so you went back to Arizona.
I absolutely love.
Really glowy.
You're so glowy. I mean, that's what I said. Like, she looks so fucking glowy. I mean, why does she look so glowy?
From forehead
It
down.
does, and I love the packaging of this. If I can get it out of here. Oh, I can
help you.
Yeah, maybe your muscles.
I'll get it.
Muscles, exactly. This guy, this manly man is going to help you.
There we go. Look
Boom.
how cool this packaging is. It looks like clothes. I love it. But no, it's an incredible product, and it works really well.
Boom.
glad that you like the product and the bronzer, and you look gorgeous. So we look forward to seeing you throughout the competition. So thanks for taking some time out, and good luck.
Thank you. So she just has a habit of like hanging out with gay dudes. I mean, it's her main thing. You know, TPUS gay. All right. So that wasn't. I wanted to start with Megyn Kelly, but I got two other things that were sent to me to show you about the shooting and ICE. Let's go to those things, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little dadatabase.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
All right. So, is there any Republican dudes that aren't gay? Right? Like, the fuck? This is some gay ICE dude who's taken down her information. And now she's calling because she's videoed him. She's now a domestic terrorist. He's being a little bitch about it, right? But the other thing to notice here, let's watch it again.
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
Fabulous.
We're video.
So the fact that it says police, they're not police, right? You know, these are, this is equivalent to posse comitatus. These are like federal troops being put on this is in Minnesota, right? This so-called sanctuary cities. I always said that I didn't know anybody who had an actual immigration problem. And none of my viewers had something where, like if you had a small business, which I hear one person I kind of sort of not know directly, but know, 1 to 2 degrees of separation or whatever it is. They had a small business that was competing with illegal aliens, right? Some kind of construction business. But, it's not a like domestic terrorists, these guys are violent criminals kind of thing, right? The majority of times I see people who I consider illegal, they're working construction, and I don't see that much, like occasionally. And I, travel a little bit, but not that much. And it's often in right wing. I live in a Republican state, and I travel through Republican states. I don't think I've been in a Democratic state in years, a state that votes Democratic. And I think that the majority of times I've seen illegal aliens working, it's for Republicans, right? So, this idea that they were just pouring across the border, I haven't seen it. And if you live in a city where that's the case, and you see it, like not just hear it about it. The same thing with, like, I have Ukrainian friends on Facebook because I know a variety of Ukrainian people from the Sajmark meditation. And they're always hanging out with Russian people. Like, I couldn't tell the difference. The language was similar. I just thought the Ukrainian people were Russian. But I later found out, I talked to a few of them. And I have some of those people are still my friends on Facebook. And I looked all those people up, and they were posting shit from like CNN, right? Like they didn't have even their own news that they were posting for the war. Like none of them had direct relationship to the war, right? Not, so I'm like, is there even a war going on? Like, as far as I can tell, right? Because these people weren't experiencing it, at least in terms of what they were saying. They were posting things that were like videos about stuff from other people, but they didn't have their own like videos of shit going on where they lived. And so, they might not even interact with that. So what I'm talking about is when there's a problem that you hear about, but you don't know anybody who's experiencing that problem. Like there's some massive immigration problem, but nobody's like experiencing it. And so, I don't believe that this is anything to do with it. Trump doesn't give a shit about immigration. Trump hired illegals himself, and he married one, right? And so now has a new movie out. So anyways, like this, this is a huge problem that like nobody experiences, like a big nationwide problem. And they had that stupid one video of Venezuelan terrorists at that apartment building. And you don't even know if that's happened in America or they're Venezuelan. It's just shit that people say and pass around on the internet. It makes it look like these gangs are coming in here and taking over whole apartment buildings. But where is it? Like, who else is experiencing? Just like same thing with this, the Haitians eating the dogs. And Trump just, And that rumor goes around. It's like there's all this stuff that spreads around, but it's not like a real thing, right? But whatever immigration is a problem, and criminals or immigrants are a problem, it's not worth losing your civil rights over. And that's what this is about, like them taking your civil rights, which I'll get into now as we get. I want to slam the Megyn Kelly bullshit stuff that she's doing, and then I want to read some comments. So this was one. I think my wife sent me this maybe a day or two ago, when this first happened. But the fucking whistles, man. These guys and their fucking gay ass whistles. This whole thing's so gay, right? Like, who came up with the fucking whistles? Okay, I'm gonna spare you the bunch of stuff. It ends up going to this part here, right? Okay, so the ice guy just shoves that guy to the fucking ground. Like this is like right here. Like people are talking about the shot shooting, but this person's coming up, like here. Okay, so this woman comes yelling. You see right here. This person's coming up and yelling at the ice people. And I mean, it's stupid to do that, like fucking, especially now after you've seen this person get shoved to the ground. So that guy kind of is going in to help, like the good Samaritan that he is. And he gets pulled away.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
All right, we saw the rest of this. We hadn't seen the beginning part with all the fucking gay whistles, right? I mean, just the whole thing. I'm just, over it. This is, you wonder why there needs to be depopulation when you just see the whole fucking mess. This is just a fucking, humanity, like, de-evolving right in front of your eyes. Okay, here's Megyn Kelly.
Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly.
Hey Megyn, how are you today?
Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show. We begin with the shooting of a 37-year-old man in Minneapolis and what President Trump should do about it. I mean, what he should do about his mission, his ongoing mission, and the country's to rid the United States of criminal illegal aliens.
Okay, so, I mean, the first part of this premise, anything that you say about Trump with a straight fucking face, which implies that he gives a shit about any of the policies and you personally, when he's the most narcissistic, selfish person, and that he cares about America, he cares about anything. Like, that's just not who he is. Like, I've known that for years. All the way back to The Apprentice, he is a selfish prick. There's lots of times people think they're going to get in a business deal with a billionaire, and the guy's going to be generous, right? Like, you're going to work with a really rich person, and you realize they're fucking penny pinching, cheap, and always, and Trump is competitive. Like, he wants to win the deal, and he wants to win the deal because he has more leverage than you do, which is played out over and over again, right? In his life. He screwed the little guy over. People who went into business with Trump. There was this, I've talked about this before quite a bit. When I came back from India, my family and I were in India, and we were, came back to basically Vegas, right? Henderson, Nevada, which is just a part of Vegas. And I found a barber who was a Republican, like he was a good barber, like an old, been there for years. I've been showing pictures of Bryce Canyon lately in my videos. He's the one who told me about Bryce being better than the Grand Canyon, which it is. It's an amazing place. But he, he was a Republican. He had Fox News on all the time. And Trump, this is right before Trump won in 2016. And so this is right before the election. And I'm pretty sure, I can't imagine he didn't vote for anybody else. He didn't vote for Hillary, certainly. that he voted for Trump. But he said, he knew a lot of people that are associated with the Trump Tower. Like, barbers just know people. And he said that all these vendors said that they screw you over at the Trump Tower. They don't pay their vendors. They are constantly screwing. It's like Trump's policies, and then to negotiate down to a lower payment, even though go back on deals. And this is, this is what he's known for. Like he was commenting because Trump was on the TV. And as much as he was a Republican, this guy knew from people that Trump just screwed the little guy over. And so a guy who does business like that, why do you think he's going to be he had some Grinch-like turn of heart and he became a person that cared about other fucking people? His narcissism, look at the way he brags constantly. A person that brags constantly doesn't care about other people. He always minimizes everyone else's successes, and he has these relationships that always end badly. He has no fucking friends. All his relationships end with the other people screwing him over, and these things, right? And so, the narcissism, and we live in a society where narcissism's, something that's a normal thing. We're all kind of selfish, narcissistic people, more so than we should be or would be in other circumstances. We don't have a culture where where our family's been decimated and people are all out for themselves. We're hyper competitive, having a killer instinct. Those are all narcissistic tendencies, right? And Trump is also a grifter. So between those two things, Trump is, he knows how to say, oh yeah, I care about you, or I'm going to do something for you, or you're going to get a good deal here. When you're negotiating and you're talking to people, you're like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do for you. This is going to be great for you. But he's just saying those are words he just says and doesn't mean, and has done it his whole life, right? So he's able to convince people, but his narcissism, his selfishness, and he's a loser too. He just he runs things into the ground. He's just a whining little piece of shit, right? So it's not like he's a successful narcissist in that his businesses have bloomed. Like he just is a good grifter. Like he gets lots of money and then fucking runs it into the ground. Like he's a billionaire who gets cheap money, cheap loans. And the majority of people who are like that, they can take the cheap loans and turn them into profit. But Trump, for some reason, because he's so fucking impulsive and stupid and he doesn't do research, it just makes one bad bet after another and then just blows the money and then has to go and find a way to get more money. And he's just failed upwards in this way, like all the way to the presidency.
Which is exactly what he was elected to do. He was elected with majority support to get rid of all the illegals here, all of them. The country was united, at least a majority.
Not really united. They weren't united about this, so it's fucking stupid. She's prefacing what you just saw, which is a wrong thing, right? She just saw something that there's no defending it, to the point where they're right in your face saying, this guy shouldn't have carried his gun. This guy, if you carry your gun legally to a protest, we're going to shoot you in the fucking back, right? And it's okay. And you got what you deserved. You gun owners, you guys all carrying guns. This is there's one argument for Second Amendment, other than like post-apocalyptic stuff. It's that the whole Second Amendment was that there was never supposed to be a standing army. We were never supposed to have a military. We were supposed to have militias. And everybody in America was supposed to own a gun, which of course isn't possible now. But everyone's supposed to own a gun. And then when was a call to arms, everyone had to run out and have some basic military training. This is how America won the revolution. And that you would run out and go out, fight a war. You would there'd be some organization then. But there would be militias. And so the argument for the Second Amendment at this point is that once they take your guns, they just bully the shit out of you, right? The government is a bully, and if you're unarmed, it's the only thing that keeps that from happening is the military and the government bullying everybody and you losing all your freedoms, is that people have guns. Of course, now with those weapons that they used in Venezuela, where guys were dropping to their knees when they're using these fucking energy weapons that Trump and them bragged about, even trained military. I mean, that's part of America. You got a lot of retired trained military that live in the population now. And, They know they have skills, and they have, U.S. military training, the finest training in the world. And so again, that's the reason for Second Amendment, to stop something like this, that the people would rise up if there was an abuse of power, and they turn the military and the police on the people. There's a threat that the people rise up into some sort of militias. These Republican militias who are all folding under Trump because they're fucking, they're all bullshit, right? They don't care about these things.
Majority of it was in getting rid of the illegals who are here, never mind the worst ones, the ones who have committed additional crimes. Of course, everyone, the majority, was united in that. And that's what he's been trying to do. And he has gone city after city trying to do it.
Okay, so that's not what we do. We have to assess whether a person's a liar or not. And Trump's a liar, like he's one of the worst. And so you can't trust anything he says and why he's doing it. But when you're losing your freedoms are being, you're losing your rights right in front of your fucking face, and you can't. And these are things that Republicans have fought for years, even more than Democrats. The right to carry weapons, the right for all these things, right? And he's like, she's like, Trump's just doing this for, fuck you. Like, we all know Trump's a piece of shit. I mean, everyone should, except you guys who just refuse to see it.
With very little problems, except in Minneapolis, where he has a true insurrection at hand. I mean, he does. Yes.
Okay, so the insurrection word, when you use, this is the problem with all these things. You mean the insurrection that happened on January 6th that was bullshit, or this insurrection that's bullshit? This is not an insurrection. This is a bunch of fucking wimpy liberals with fucking whistles and maybe some paid, provocateurs. It's not an insurrection. These are not people who are showing up with fucking, assault rifles and having it out with the fucking cops, right? Who are not really cops because they're federal agents who shouldn't be dealing with fucking, with American citizens unless those American citizens are somehow trafficking illegals. They're, people who are just on the streets protesting. These ICE people are not a part of that, right? This is not a fucking insurrection. Don't fucking say that, that gay, like, make this is a gayest insurrection, just like the January 6th is when they got invited into the Capitol and the fucking QB shaman was walking around. So here's the problem. Let me go a little bit further, but I want to talk about what the central problem is here.
An insurrection at hand. And it's evident in the streets there day after day after day. And the question is, what do we do about it? Don't miss a moment.
Okay, let's have an ad. What do we do about it? So here.
This new film takes you inside the 20 days leading up to the 2025 presidential inauguration.
Is there anybody less interesting and more obnoxious than Melania? There's this great thing. I should have saved it as a meme. If I have it, I don't think I have it. But she was on The Apprentice, and I like The Apprentice. Like, I like Trump as a character. But in his narcissism and his obnoxious and the fact that he's like a failed business, you can tell he's not good at business. He's a blowhard. He's a moron. If you're a smart person, like if you're smarter than Trump, you can easily see through. Trump's not 100 IQ, but he's not brilliant, right? And you can see through his bullshit. Like if you're whatever. But it was like first or second season. I only watched I guess I watched some of the celebrity ones. I don't know how many seasons. The show I liked. And they get to go up to Trump Tower. I think the women, it's like, men and women are competing against each other, right? And the women get to go up to Trump Tower, and they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It's so gaudy. There's gold everywhere. It's just nouveau riche kind of, gaudy, just Trump stuff. And Melania comes down, and someone says to her, you're so lucky. And she goes, he's not lucky? It was her one great moment.
Inauguration through the eyes of the First Lady herself, where fashion is not just style, it's strategy. Witness the image-defining decisions made behind closed doors, a celebration of duty and glamour. Melania, only in theaters, starting January 30th.
Jesus Christ.
On Saturday, a 37-year-old man, Alex Preddy, was shot by Border Patrol agents there after a confrontation. Alex Preddy was there being subversive. He was there trying to interfere with the traffic.
Okay, so being able to protest is a right. You know, like these. So your government goes south, right? Your government, and again, protests are fucking gay and they're stupid and they don't have no point and they always backfire. I can't express enough how much I dislike protest and protesters. I've said it over and over again. Recently, my wife and I were driving and I lost it. I started yelling at the protesters because they were in our fucking way. And it was the No Kings protest in a Republican city that nobody gave a shit. And they're just trying to piss everybody off. But they're smiling and laughing, high-fiving, and getting in the way of people. And I'm like, you fucking protests don't work. Like, I just got irritated. Like, very seldom do. I dislike all these fucking gay liberal fucking protesters, all their bullshit. Because it doesn't work and it's just a whatever. But the reason for it is that, and you know, the reason they don't work is you're protesting in a town where there's zero people of power in there. And the people of power don't give a shit. And they're just going to use the protest against you. And they always can put in provocateurs that make the protest go south. You know, like I was watching that one movie, you know, Fighting Every Day or whatever it is, The Never Ending Battle, whatever the fuck it's called, with Leonardo DiCaprio, which is about protests. And the military puts this guy out. I forget what they called him. And he throws like a pipe bomb or like a, you know, like a Molotov cocktail at the cops. And he's one of the cops. And then the cops go apeshit on the people. Like, you can, you know, you're in a protest, you can totally be used. They can use, you know, average citizens with a, you know, like they have these guys called the anarchists, who are, you know, have been around since the 1920s, who dress in black and have black masks. You know, and they're usually government guys, CIA or something, you know, intelligence community or police or something. They're being used to escalate the protests. So it's a, you know, I dislike protests, but it's a right for you to do, right? It's you know, people who want to express some, you know, to show people that there's some level of animosity or something. And it should be something where, you know, it's like you express, you know, people protest at work or protest to their boss if they can, and, you know, protest to their parents. And, you know, like you're a kid, and you're, you know, like when you're a little kid, you have these tantrums, right? Your parents tell you no. And then you know, so you submit your, you know, your grievances to where you know, your right to stand up and say something isn't right, especially when the government gets abusive, right? This is the idea of the Second Amendment and militias. Because power, people will lose their shit over their power. They'll start taking advantage of people and taking liberties. You know, they'll be privatizing the profit, right, and socializing the payment, you know, the expenses. And they start, you know, flying around on fucking jets they get from Qatar and walking around with a swagger and using your fucking money and shit for their own personal bullshit. And people start to starve and they realize they're being fucked over by a piece of shit like Trump or a piece of shit like Biden or, you know, the larger piece of shit of the government and this whole thing. And then they protest, right? This is, you know, one of the things. Doesn't work. Don't like it, but it's one of the things that people have a right to do, right? So, like, there's a whole section and, you know, being able to gather and do this. And so the whole thing with ICE is bullshit. Trump's fucking, you know, he's unhinged. He's lost his shit. He's a piece of narcissistic shit. And she knew more than anybody when she got into it with Trump. But all these people that Trump once abused come and fucking bow before him. And so, like, and pretend he's this guy. She's a lying sack of shit who used to, you know, suck poop at Fox News, you know, and then she got out of there because of whatever was going on, you know, behind the scenes. And she went to MSNBC, became a sort of liberal for a while. And that didn't take. And then she came back and does a shitty show where she pretends to be a truther, right? And other than talking about Israel, she's wrong about everything fucking else. And really about Israel. Like, she's just mild on that. Right, so this...
Trying to direct traffic into an ICE operation from the look of it. He was not there to help. He was not there to assist law enforcement or make things easier for them. He was there with a loaded gun, looking to cause trouble.
You know what I mean? It's his right to bear arms, right? You know, who, again, they don't want ICE in their community. Like, they're not, you know, you're saying there was a majority. Trump didn't win Minnesota, right? Trump says he feels like he won Minnesota 3 times, but in reality lost it. He didn't win Minnesota, and he didn't win these cities, right? These cities he didn't get a majority in. The city's where all the Democrats are. And it's supposed to be some sanctuary city. And if they're happy with the fucking illegals there, then who gives a shit, right? Like, this is, Republicans were always supposed to be about state rights and local government. And the local government in these cities is Democrats. And this is where all the money comes from, the cities. Democratic-run areas is where all the money comes from. Again, I don't like the Democratic-run areas. I don't like the Democrats. I don't want to hang out with them. No, I don't like don't like the Republicans either, right? But I don't like to live where the Democrats run things. I don't live in a Democratic state and won't, and I don't live in a city where there's Democratic-run agenda. I don't so. But this is their thing. This is like, you get to have, this two-party system, and there's liberals and conservatives, and people are, if they want to have fucking illegals there, I know it's illegal, but you don't punish the people who are paying for the illegals that are employing them, right? Like, that's how you get rid of them, when you start punishing people for hiring them. A lot of rich Republicans hire illegals, right? So, again, none of this stuff is worth being shot over. Like, all these things are it's his constitutional right to carry a firearm. I think he's a dumbass for bringing it there. Like, I don't care if this guy got shot. I don't care if people die all the time. Like, and this is a risky behavior. If this is real, it doesn't even look, the whole thing. I can't say if this stuff is real or not or whatever. I don't care about any of it. But, the reality of it is, what we saw there's clearly, if they're showing you a dramatization and they're asking you who's at fault, it's, in this case, the ICE agents. In the other case, it was the ICE agents, right? Like in the George Floyd thing, it was kind of a mixture of things, right? Like, George Floyd certainly was up to criminal no good, but, does he deserve to be killed? Also, he was on drugs. There was, the whole thing. So, it's a mixture. It's like, a shared sort of blame. There's some shared blame for all these protesters. They're shooting people in the head, and then you show up with a fucking loaded gun. Like, you're a moron for doing that, right? Like, if you're not going to use the gun, don't bring it. Like, fucking, it's just an excuse to shoot you in the fucking back, right? So it's a stupid thing. But he gets to do it. He has a total right to do it, and that isn't give you justification to shoot an armed, someone who's carrying a firearm. You just can't shoot them.
Border Patrol agents, and that trouble came back on him. We'll get into the specifics and the frame by frame and all of that in a minute, but I just want to say, I don't personally, I'm so sick of this bullshit. These are organized agitators who train to disrupt and, in some cases, hurt law enforcement. They go out there looking for confrontations that they can make go viral.
Okay, so the guy didn't look like he was looking for a confrontation. Like, he was, the ICE agent just shoved somebody to the ground. Again, you cops just can't do that shit, right? And these guys should not be on the streets, like this whole thing. It's just fucking bullshit. But the problem is the hypocrisy here. All right, so she starts talking to some people up here. Let me move forward. So here's her description. I haven't seen this yet, but let's watch this.
The road. At one point, the agent yells, "Get back!" Watch. A woman's been shoved to the ground. Alex Preddy now is in between that woman and the Border Patrol.
She's been shoved to the ground, right? Like, she's been shoved to the ground. Like, as cops, with people with power, you have to learn to tolerate some of this stuff, right? Like, you just have to tolerate. And if you're going to arrest them, arrest them. You just can't shove her to the ground. Look at her shoving her to the ground here.
In this next video, you're going to see the agent shove one of the women and use a chemical irritant as he tries to get these two women and Alex Preddy off of the road. At one point, the agent yells, "Get back!" Watch.
So, she didn't do anything to the guy to get shoved, right? Like, you just can't shove people. There's, like, rules of engagement. Like, you just can't go shove women to the fucking ground. Like, hear her saying this shit? Like, she thinks it's okay for this ICE agent to shove the woman to the ground. This is what provokes a situation, right? These guys are being douches. Like, yeah, they're totally douchey. If I was in this position, I'd be bummed too. Like, I would want to shove them like you'd want to, right? But you can arrest them. You can handcuff them. You know, again, so he shoves her to the ground. They start pepper spraying people. And so, and you know, these guys are clearly not trained to deal with this situation.
A woman's been shoved to the ground. Alex Preddy now is in between that woman and the Border Patrol.
He's trying to pick her up and get her out of there. It's like, so there's nothing there.
The whistles, nonstop.
I mean, the fucking whistles. Those whistles will provoke anybody. I mean, the whistles do suck, but the whistles nonstop. I mean, you're going to have to shoot somebody. I mean, the fucking whistles.
Agitators. There's a scuffle now unfolding.
Honestly.
And somebody doing running commentary, which is not helpful.
It's not helpful. Fucking it's not helpful. Like, can you be the bigger cunt than Megyn Kelly? Like, a total sellout piece of shit. Like, just to fucking, you know, she gets like 200,000 views on these videos. You know, she has a, you know, fairly wide audience. And she's just talking about fucking Republican talking points and licking Trump's taint and just covering up for this bullshit, right? Like, she's got all these dumb fucks just listening to this. You know, these are equal dumb fucks. You know, the protesters are dumb fucks. You're a dumb fuck to go out there. It has no purpose. It's not going to change a thing. And, you know, it's exposing that they feel like they could just shoot civilians now and that you have no fucking recourse. But, you know, Trump's going to be out. I mean, once the Democrats take over, it's going to be a fucking mess for 2 years. And, you know, I mean, he's fallen apart physically and mentally. And you're going to have a Gavin Newsom in 2 years, and that's going to be a fucking nightmare in a different way. But this is what you've built for yourselves. Like, this is, you know, if you're in a bad marriage and, like, the fucking thing's going south, and it's just totally, you know, it's just total animosity, and there's just going to be a bad divorce. You know, not like we both agree that we can, you know, be civil to each other. We're just not right for each other, but like there's just hatred between you. And there's, you know, like a feud like the Hatfields and McCoys, where people just get irrational, and they, you know, both get the feeling like both feel like victims. This is how things end, right? And like you just don't cultivate this by being a cunt like Megyn Kelly is here. You just don't do it. You can't do it. Like it's just you're being like she's complaining about these agitators. You know, she's being an agitator here. She's riling up these dumb fucks who can't see, you know, the truth for themselves, and, you know, making it worse, just like the left-wing people are doing it for their side.
He's doing more harm than good. That woman, what the fuck is wrong with you, honestly? She's endangering Alex Preddy and everybody else there. Why would you try to obscure the clear hearing of the Border Patrol agents making the arrest?
Okay, because they don't want them in their city. Like, this is, you know, their point of view is that these guys are fucking unwanted, militarized, fucking untrained people that are harassing their community, right? Like, this is, you know, it's an adversarial type situation where the fucking ICE guys can shoot you and the other guys got their gay little whistles. Like,
what kind of risks do you think you are creating, madam?
Madam.
Now, we saw in that video for the listening audience that Preddy's now in a scuffle with some 6 agents surrounding him. Now, what does the reasonable person do? What do? They say, I'm sorry. I surrender.
Oh, yeah, that's what the reasonable person does. Like, this is, you know, like, it doesn't look like he has that opportunity here. Looks like he's just getting his ass kicked, right? He's been thrown around like a fucking, a doll.
That's what they say. I didn't hear any of that on the tape. Did not hear any of that. Amid the chaos, you do hear one agent say, he's got a gun, or gun, several times. It is important to point out, before the agent says that, we do not see any officer with their guns drawn. Not one. It was not until after the one agent yelled, he's got a gun, that we do see the others draw their guns.
No, he yelled, he's got a gun. I mean, according to the thing on CNN, I don't know.
After hearing the warning, at least one officer grabs his own gun from his side holster. We count 2 to 3 seconds at most between gun being screamed. Again, it could be he's got a gun or gun, which they're trained to yell when they see it on a perp, for all intents.
He's a perp.
purposes, that's how they were treating Alex.
It's not a perp because these aren't cops, right? These are fucking ICE guys who are up in Minnesota for whatever reason. I mean, because it's not a Canadian issue. This is, illegal, people from the southern border coming up to Minneapolis where they decide to target that city.
Which he was at that point because he had committed a felony by shoving a federal agent. In any event, we count 2 to 3 seconds between gun being screamed and the sound of gunfire. A warning, this video is disturbing.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
Oh, now you have the proper appreciation for what messing with the federal agent can lead to. Lady on the side.
Okay, so, to characterize this as appropriate police behavior, I mean, she's just a cunt. Let's go to the other guys here, and I got one more thing, the most important thing to say about this. Okay, so what Megyn Kelly was saying about that woman, agitating from the side, she's doing here now. She's agitating. She's riling up Trump's base and agitating left-wing people, right? And going after Don Lemon. Just, escalation. Megyn Kelly's escalating the situation with her venom and her angry and her cuntiness, like being a cunty. But here's this gay, shill provocateur James O'Keefe, right? Like this fucking guy.
Got out of our vehicle. We did have undercover people in the mob. But what was striking to me is right when I parked my vehicle, as soon as I got out, it's negative 12 degrees, so every part of your skin is completely covered. They can't identify you. Immediately, 5 women who are white began interrogating me and asking me who I am and what my identity is. I've never experienced anything quite like this.
You mean fucking your complaint? Like, so Megyn Kelly's complaining about agitators, and this guy's the biggest agitator on the right. And he's doing the same. They always do this show. So going up to politicians and asking them uncomfortable questions and harassing them and doing that kind of shit, right? And so this is what the left wing's doing. And when they're doing it to him, he's whining like a little bitch. Like, this is what I'm going to get to at the end of this stuff. Because you have to, this is all what I always say about behaviors. I want to talk about this specifically when I get to the voiceover. But, behaviors, are you against behaviors or you're just against when the other side does the same thing to you, right?
I actually told them I was press. And they it was almost like they were going to do a citizen's arrest on me unless I identified myself, showed them my ID. So I told them, I'm
James, forgive me.
Yeah.
You guys have given us a couple of videos exclusive to you. People can check them out at your website. So we'll play a couple of them as you tell the story. And there is one of the moment I think you're referring to where they're demanding you show your press badge in SOT 9A. Here it is.
Yeah, I want to see your work on the fucking phone. I'm going to show you. This is my press badge right here. Hand it to
Here's my
us.
press badge.
If it's real, just hand it to her. Yeah, no, it's right here. No, give it back. These guys are not press. I looked up OK Media. It's from Portugal. They're not from Portugal. And none of their work is political at all.
they're idiots.
Okay, we're not lying. We're not.
So
keep going, James.
So we'll tell the story out of sequence. But what happened there is they started yelling shame, 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 and they I mean, again, this is not yet even an autonomous zone. I'm somewhere a mile away from the shooting. They followed us to our car. They started throwing things at us. Now remember, negative 12 degrees, a bottle of water will freeze in like 20, 30 seconds.
It's just so fucking hard to be it's just so hard to be a douche in Minneapolis, right? Like little whiny little fucking douches. Gay fucking, like these gay Republican little douches, right?
Seconds. And it's a weapon.
It's a fucking weapon. They're throwing weapons at us, right? Fucking weapons.
They started throwing objects at me and my security guard. In fact, they actually patted my security guard down. They are the authority. I've never experienced anything like this. I mean, if you have a gun, what are you gonna do? Fire it at them? I mean, that's not gonna work. So
yeah, exactly, right? Fucking exactly.
They confiscated the weapon off of my Marine security detail, followed us to our.
Wait, a gun?
Well, he left his gun in the car, but he had like a knife or something on him, and they confiscated. They patted him down, like they're the police. Now the police in
Okay, see, the thing about it is, this is fucked up what they're doing, like the women here, but it's no fucking threat. These are like little liberal whiny pieces of shit. But like, this is about abuse of power, right? And you're whining about what ICE is doing to everybody else, but you're saying ICE is authority, right? Like when people say we're the authority, when people are the authority and they tell you what the truth is, and I talk about this all the time. The authority gets to say what's truth and what's not truth, and it's almost never truth, right? Like it's just subjective agenda by the authority. And so this is an abuse of power where these women have whatever, they're doing whatever they're fucking doing as these liberal pieces of shit at their gay ass protests, their fucking whistles. But it's not nearly as bad as these, a government isn't real. Like a government isn't fucking real. It's not based in, you don't have, when they say, oh, we're doing God's work or we're, divinely inspired, right? All that kind of stuff. It's not real. They're just saying we're the authority. It's just like anybody saying, like somebody saying God says he promised the promised land to the Jews is Israel. They promised Israel. God doesn't fucking promise shit. Like God doesn't give land to people. God doesn't say go beat the shit out of those people and take their land, right? That's you. Like that's fucking your idea, right? Just fucking don't say it's God. We're the authority. The Queen of England, the King of England, they carry a scepter and an orb that mean they're God's instrument. They're God's sovereign on earth. That the God's, we're ordained to be this, this piece of shit charge of the British Empire. It's a lie. Like anybody can say, oh, God told me to do this, right? I mean, it's your relationship with God. Maybe God, if you cultivate a relationship with your soul and God communicates to you, yeah, sure, you're doing those things, based in that, it gives you the personal authority, but that doesn't mean shit to anybody else. They have to have their own, and they have to find the divinity within them and then be convinced internally, not by you saying, oh, God told me to do this. Like that doesn't work. It works, but it's not right. It's not truth. But, these gay protesters.
So to have left, the police have left this area completely. So you're completely on your own. And I'm shaken. Megan, you had me on to talk about my film Line in the Sand. I've ambushed the cartel. They run away from me. They don't like the cameras. These people will kill you.
They're worse than the cartel. These liberal bitches. I mean, like, come on, bro. Like, just fucking, you're agitators. Like, she's talking about agitators. You guys are agitators. You guys are all sucky. You're all in one fucking group of suck-ass people who won't take any personal responsibility for changing and evolving and are just looking to find some external enemy to blame for your bullshit. So there's one more thing here. Let me see if I can find it. He brings these other guys in here. But, just like absolute piece of shit, right? And here, where's this stuff? This is the video I saw here. This was a short video.
Andrew Branca.
There's a short video that came up, and this is what made me say, oh, she's doing her bullshit here.
Show, and our pal Dave Ehrenberg, who's an MK True Crime host, is also with us today. He's a lawyer, former Palm Beach County State's Attorney.
Ehrenberg and a lawyer? What kind of guy is this guy?
As well. Guys, welcome back to the show. So, and I'll kick it off with this, Andrew. Real Clear Politics saying that in their 25 years, as an entity, they have never seen an example where the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, and the Washington Post all agreed in their top editorial, which was to call on ICE to settle down and to potentially de-escalate in Minnesota. I don't happen to agree with that. I know
you want more citizens to be shot, and you want to tell people you shouldn't carry firearms even though you're lawfully allowed to. That's what you want to do. You want to go against the Second Amendment, and you want to go against, what you just fucking saw. You just want to make this about, like, fucking, more fucking civilians being killed. Is that what it is, Megan? So I want to just briefly here.
According to the polls, I'm in the minority, but it is.
Yeah, of course you are, because you're fucking wrong. you're 100% wrong.
It's like what happened with Alex Preddy that have led to that. And so your position that this was what? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that it was a valid shooting, that it was a, quote, good shooting. How would you put it? And
Yeah,
then
it was a legally justified use of defensive force. I mean, whether I...
Jesus Christ. And he looks like that he sounds just like that actor. You know who I'm talking about, if you can recognize his voice. Let me come back to a voiceover. That's what I want to show you. I saw this and I'm like, oh my God, she sucks so bad. So then I pulled up her whole video here. Because, I knew she was going to be on this. They never fucking will admit they're wrong. That Trump is wrong and they're wrong. Look at this guy with his gay fucking swords behind him. Like, just, stop. At least fucking stop your bullshit. Okay, speaking of twinks and gay Republicans, this just popped up on my phone. I was going to end with Megyn Kelly, but this will still be a segue into what I want to talk about. Here.
You infiltrated, or tell us the backstory. How did you get a hold of this information, the Signal chat, and what did you find inside of it?
Yeah, I made a friend, and I can't say who it is, or I can't elaborate a lot there, but I managed to get in. I got a link to many of the Signal chats, specifically the rapid response groups that were being used to actively track down and hunt ICE and then stage intentional obstruction of their operations, oftentimes resulting in violence and sometimes death in the case of Mr. Preddy. And I also believe...
so this is, so the title of this is Signal Chat. Cam Higbee infiltrated Signal Chat targeting ICE agents. I mean, the hypocrisy is off the charts. Let me go to a voiceover here. Okay, so this segment, which, really belongs in the beginning of this video, but at least this part, but I want to talk about it here. Today's Tuesday, January 27th, for people who will be listening to this on some future date in the Journey series. The teaching, and I hope I'm saying it right here, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I think I nailed it. But it is, in every religion, even the liberals can understand this, but don't, right? This is what I talk about with Don Lemons, and the hypocrisy is off the charts. But, all the things that Megyn Kelly just demonstrated she was complaining about, and then she brings in the biggest agitator out there, James O'Keefe. I talked about this when I was making videos mocking Britney Spears. And I had a lot of these right-wing dumbasses show up not show up. They had been on my channel for a while, and they loved it when I mocked the left. They loved it when I was mocking, like I said to them, you had no problem when I was mocking Cardi B. Well, what they said is that leave Britney alone. And you know how many stupid people, and that was a lot of times just a joke, but they would say, she's been abused and, can't believe how mean you are and, this kind of stuff for mocking her. Like, this is abused, mentally ill person. And I'm like, well, Cardi B isn't and Lady Gaga isn't. You don't have a problem when I mock them. So you don't have a problem with the behavior, so stop whining about the fucking behavior. You like when I mock the left. All these people who liked when I mocked the shit out of Joe Biden, but don't like when I mock Trump. So you don't have a problem with the behavior. It's the subject of the behavior. So you're okay with mocking only when you do it and your side does it, right? And so every person has to, realize that if you engage in a behavior, that behavior comes back to you, right? If me mocking people, people are going to mock me, right? Anything you do to people is going to be done back to you. Good things, bad things, it all comes around. That's how, fucking everything works. Anything that you engage in, Master Charge, the third master, the Sajmark system said, every thought you have will eventually circle around the universe and eventually come back to you. And so this is the idea of having positive thoughts and nice thoughts about everything, right? And so those of us who engage in not so nice thoughts, we have to understand that there's, we're in it then, right? We're in it. For Megyn Kelly and TPUS Gay, if this was a right-wing person who was protesting Joe Biden, if this was when January 6th, and a cop pulled out his gun and just shot somebody in the face, and then another cop killed somebody for carrying a firearm, and the Democrats said, well, if you carry a firearm, you're going to get shot in the back, you guys would whine your little immature bitch asses off, right? The biggest indicator when the Trump fake assassination happened, it was so fake. It's so poorly done. It was the easiest thing to sniff out. Trump is just so, he went over the top, going for the bleeding ear. That was, totally Trump-esque in WWE. It was just right there for everybody to see. And if Biden had done it or any Democrat had done it, you'd be going crazy, calling it fake. I mean, the whole truth community would have lit up with videos like mine exposing all the fake stuff about it, right? But because it happened to Trump, you bought it hook, line, and sinker. That's when I knew that the truth community was completely compromised. One of my viewers said that of the 60 so YouTubers that he watched who covered the Trump assassination, only 3 of them were, me and 2 others were saying it could be fake, and I was the only one who's saying this is totally fake. Like they were just implying it might be fake, which was good. Like that's all you have to do. I mean, but it was so fake you don't even have to do that. You could take it the next step farther, but the rest of them were not even questioning it like as a possibility. And now there's a lot of people who are questioning it because Trump turned on them a little bit on Epstein. But when it was time to do it, you weren't there. When it's time to do it, you didn't. You sucked as a truther. The hardest thing for me to do was, it happened right after my marriage imploded, and there was really bad things in my marriage, but there was always the potential it might go the right way, and I was led to believe that it would. But it didn't. Like, it had no chance. I realized it had no chance, and it was imploding. My family was imploding, the intergenerational family farm, and I was in my early mid-50s and having to reinvent myself and my family and all those things. It was a nightmare. And then the third master of the Sajmark system died, and a guy who was clearly a good practitioner of the system beforehand shit the bed, this guy Dodgy and the whole heartfulness thing. And, it was something that I believe wholeheartedly a spiritual solution, a system that has a system that's never existed of this, like this in this form, that could help human beings connect to God on a level that's never really, not to sound like Trump, but like it's like no one's ever seen these numbers, but like for those of us who experienced the benefits and saw it, how it worked for other people, it was the solution. Like, we need to help humanity. We have to change ourselves, right? Humans have to change themselves. We're the problem. It helps people connect to God and elevate to a higher level of consciousness, which is the solution, a society full of saints. And when that imploded, it was a fucking devastating type of situation, but I was able to deal with it. And so, if you can't confront your religious bullshit or your political bullshit, I did the hard thing for myself, so I'm not, compassionate for your inability to confront your bullshit, right? When I confronted mine, my biggest nightmare happened. And so your nightmare isn't nearly as big. Like, your Christianity isn't nearly as good. It hasn't been. It's just something you grew up with and was indoctrinated in, but it didn't have the kind of results that I saw with my system because it doesn't provide those results. It's the goal of Christianity isn't helping people connect to the divinity within them right now. They don't pursue the kingdom of heaven is within. It's some promise that you have when you die. And for the most part, it's a materialistic-based situation where it's about money and power, religious power, political power. The churches and TPUSK and all these religious people, they don't talk about you connecting to God right now and helping you do that. They talk about how to change the world, like change the external world and not what's inside. So it's not even, closely related. And you can't confront your indoctrination and, I'm not going to fucking have kid gloves with you because you're, it would be much easier for you to confront that than it was for me to deal with what I had to deal with. So anyways, with that, let's get to these comments. Okay, so this isn't the comment I wanted to lead with, but it's the most recent one. I saw it on my phone. And a regular viewer said, I thought the nurse guy they unalived in Minneapolis had some of the same characteristics as Paul. This whole thing is bizarre with Trump and everything he's doing. Things are apocalyptic out here. And someone else said, I thought he looked similar. And somebody else made I don't know, whatever. We do not look similar. We have beards, right? There's a few times people have come up to me and said, are you Adam Sandler? I'm like, holy shit, right? Now, if you shave the beard, now Adam Sandler didn't have a beard and I didn't have a beard, nobody confused us. But I don't know, for some reason you put on a beard and people fucking, oh, like that guy looks just like you. Yeah, we both have beards. But this guy would not be someone who, whatever it is. Which is good that people will not recognize me on the streets. If you're looking for Adam Sandler or this guy, you will not be able to. But the joke I had here is, what more importantly is, I'm not a good Samaritan. Like, I'm not helping that bitch. I mean, I would be at the protest in the first place, but it's, there's no similarities to our point of view because like I said over and over again, protests don't work. But here's the comment I wanted to get to first. Let's see if I pull it up here. Yeah, here. Got to make it bigger. This is, will the real Erica J. Kirk please stand up? DPUS gay fires after promise on whatever. And the person says, you rip on flat earthers while you beaten the Candace Erica Horace way beyond death. Isn't there more important things going on to talk about? I think most of us with half a brain know Erica is a complete evil mess and the closest thing to the fangless vampire that could ever be. Snap out of this rut and move on. Okay, so what I would say to that is, let me start off with this. You rip flat earthers while you've beaten the Candace and Erica Horse way beyond death. These aren't comparable things. Like, you could say you've beaten the thing with Candace and Erica Kirk beyond death. It's a still ongoing thing, but I could see that being a point because I'm sick of it as well. Like, I'm tired of it. I was really happy yesterday when Candace didn't put up a video. I swore off having to watch her, but then this whole thing. But part of it is views, and part of it it's not resolved. But yeah, like I would totally agree with, it's run its course kind of. But there's still more story there. But yeah, it's like these things never go anywhere, and there's a point where, it becomes obvious they're not going anywhere. So there's some truth to that, but there's nothing to do with the flat earthers, right? It says I rip flat earthers. The reason I rip flat earthers is they were fucking intolerable. And because it's based in, like what I was just saying, you buy into a bullshit book that you think is the Word of God, that treats God horribly, especially the Old Testament. And in that bullshit book, it talks about God picking the earth up by four corners. It also talks about, God's obsession with foreskins and removing them. And then all this other bullshit that's in it, right? The book's just full of, like, just crap and weird shit and stuff that's not godly. And because it says it in that book, you take the fact that NASA lies and everything that we know as our system is a lie, and you say, well, the earth isn't round, which you could possibly prove, but that doesn't prove that it's flat. It's not flat. It doesn't work. There's no workable model that it's flat. And I say this over and over again. You guys haven't produced a workable model. The problem, there's a number of problems. The time zones is one problem, but the bigger problem is the varying sunlight. Like each day is, you get it like it's like a minute and 20 seconds or something like that, longer or shorter each day. There's less sunlight. Right now every day we're getting more and more sunlight, all the way to June 21st. And it's cyclical and it's yearly. We have one day every year that there's the most sunlight, and then we have 1 year every day that has the least, the December 21st, and it's constant, right? And there's no flat earth model that can explain that. But with the earth being tilted on an axis of 23 degrees, and that the part of the hemisphere that goes away from the earth, when it goes around the sun, on a yearly basis, like that is, that works in the round earth model. But either way, it's not that I give a shit about the round earth model. It's that there's no flat earth model because you're in your religious bullshit, which is, what I've talked about over and over again. The Old Testament sucks, and I don't care about it. You guys are all going to have to do what you got to do in your belief, but don't bring it to my fucking doorstep all the time with your dumbass fucking comments. So, like, that's the flat earth piece, right? The earth isn't flat, and you guys are, like, shitty about it and have been for years. And, I'll get a bunch of flat earth comments from this. Every time I mention to it, they can't help themselves but to comment, which is the bigger problem. Like, just learn to shut the fuck up, right? Just learn that this is not a place where you can run your flat earth bullshit, no matter how fucking butthurt you are right now and hearing me talk about it. It's just not here. I don't care if you believe the world's flat. Just don't fucking keep on. It's flat. You know, all the fucking stuff that flat earthers can't help themselves. Like, I'll make a reference to the earth being round, not even being round, something that, you know, that would indicate, I believe, you know, an official story. And they have to say something about it. Like I said, there'll be some guy shows up, right? And this is, you know, the problem. Like this person in this comment. So the Erica Kirk thing is an ongoing political story. And not just political, it's social, and it's you know, something where memes are coming out all the time, and people are actively sending me shit, right? Like, people don't actively send me stuff on certain subjects and they fade away. Like, I haven't received something on Alec Baldwin or, you know, Corey Feldman. I got this trailer and I lost it. I was going to review it. Or maybe I did show it. I don't know. It was a trailer. There's a documentary about Corey Feldman and his Angels. But these are things that I covered quite a bit, and then it didn't come back around. And then it just, you know, I got off of it, and then, you know, I haven't received a comment. I haven't received information. There's no update. But I do updates on things all the time. Like, I've just done updates on Will Smith. Somebody was sending me shit on Will Smith on Instagram, and I did it on my Apocalypse Now channel. There's 3 videos up about Will Smith. And that's come back around. And I review the slap thing and, like, shit like that. He did an interview and he talked about it. He's got this gay story about his nephew sitting on his lap holding his Oscar. He's got a new show called Pole to Pole with Will Smith, right? And so I've covered that on my Apocalypse Now channel, which is linked in the description box to all my videos. All my channels are there. Gratefullness Meditation, all the rest of it. All the channels, anything you need to know about what I do here is linked in every description box of my, you know, my YouTube channels. But this person trying to equate my disdain for the flat earth bullshit that went on for fucking years and still keeps on resurfacing, and my continuous coverage of TPUSK and Erica Kirk and to some extent Candace Owens is similar. It's not. Because first of all, nobody wants to talk about the flat earth. Like, there's no audience for that. You know, in subjects that I don't want to talk about, there's no one there for that. And this thing is, you know, it's got a human interest story. And it's still going, right? Like, there's still shit happening, you know, I mean, whatever it is. And so, yeah, I'd like to move on, but I'd also like to move on from Jeffrey Epstein that keeps on resurfacing. You know, these things don't go anywhere. But once in a while, something comes around that's of interest to me and to the viewers. So that's, you know, the difference is quite substantial. Because even now, if you read through my comments, you'll see how many people are still interested in the Erica Kirk, Erica Franze stuff, and people are still sending me stuff, and it's still popping on Facebook and Twitter, and there's still all these memes, all this stuff. There's energy there. And I don't really care about any of it. There's no changing what's going to happen. I've made my point clear on that, and there's a spiritual solution, and there's preparing for what's going to happen. And so, like, I can cover anything. But certainly there's been a bump in my view count, and people are still interested in hearing about it. And so there's a business decision here. This isn't me, like, being obsessed with it. It's just it has to, you know, has to run its course, and I'm looking to move on. And, you know, there's things happening every day. Like, Trump is, like, throwing shit at the wall every fucking day to stop what appears to be to stop the Epstein thing. Like, that's, you know, that is at least part of the explanation. There's a big fucking Trump scandal every fucking day. Every, like, week there's a new one. And big things. And now they've just shot somebody in the face or shot somebody in the back. This ICE thing. And then this thing will, you know, disappear without any resolution, because there's never any resolution, because there's no stopping what's happening. Our system's imploding, and there's never happily ever after. Boy, did we get rid of that problem, and thank God we dealt with that. Now we can live happily ever after. That's not happening, right? There's no happily ever after here. There's just a bunch of bullshit, and I mock it, and that's, you know, a small portion about. You know, there's a lot of content about that, but the overall point, the more important things, is about connecting to the divinity within you that nobody wants to hear or do anything about. But I am, you know, obligated to keep on talking about it because it's my job. But other than that, it's, you know, it's just a, you know, something that I do is just to, you know, to check a box like, hey, you know, don't blame me, you know. Hey, God, I did what I was supposed to do. Like, this is, you know, what I've been led to do is talk about that, the divinity within you. And so, you know, why not listen to that part of my videos instead of bringing up the flat earth or the Erica Franze? You know, when I've moved on from a subject, other than the updates, I'm done with it. Whereas this person, illustrates all the problems with the flat Earth bullshit by, well, here's another one. Here's a comment that speaks to this, to the same video. Charlie found out how much life insurance was taken out on him, and that will get you knocked off when the policy costs more annually than your salary. He married his handler. Karma will have to have the last act in her narrative. She is a puppet. People say things like this. This is an indication of how people are still very much concerned with all that bullshit, right? But, with the Erica Kirk bullshit. But the reality of the fucking thing is, nobody knows anything about it. Like, it's what's there. And this person writes, this is another comment, but like this idea that stuff that you don't, like just announcing things like the reality. We don't know exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk and what Erica's role is. It looks like she was his handler, like that's true, most likely. But, just announcing reality, and people are still, wanting to talk about it. What do you mean they are talking, this person says, what do you mean they are taking our tax dollars to purchase Greenland? How is that? How is there any tax money left? It's gone to Israel, Ukraine, and national debt. I mean, I'm starting to believe the taxpayer money is fake, is a farce. Add up the numbers, it doesn't math out. Well, they buy things with fucking credit cards. Like they don't, they say we're purchasing it. America doesn't have to go to a bank and get a fucking loan. Like we just fucking print money, right? That's where the debt comes from. That's where the ever-increasing debt comes from. And so if Trump has to pay $1 trillion for Greenland, and I don't know how they'll work that out. Maybe he'll get companies to pay for it, or, just add it to the debt, and say, and like I was saying, this is how they socialize the expense and privatize the profit. Like Trump will buy Greenland, and all these companies will mine it and make lots of money, and the money won't go back to America, right? And so I don't think he's going to buy it anyway, but that's how they do it. Like this, it's not about them having money. It isn't like Trump has $1 trillion of cash, or he could just say we're going to buy Greenland. They'll strike some kind of deal, and they'll just add it to the debt, and that'll be the collective debt, and then there'll be the privatized profit, right? So that's how all that works. Anyways, I wanted to get back to this Megyn Kelly thing. I left one thing out. I want to wrap this video up. The thing that we're seeing, whether it's real or fake, is police abuse, right? It's an abuse of power. Now, protesters suck, and, the liberals suck, and like I said in my video, yeah, liberals are annoying. That doesn't mean you get to shoot them in the face, which, is a real thing. That's like American policy. And, we all have rights. It's not like you just have the rights because you're a Republican or you're a truther or the rights don't apply to other people because they suck so bad and they're not like you. That's why you have something like a government. Like, our government's supposed to be about that people all have their right to believe what they believe and think what they think, as long as it doesn't infringe on other people. And those are, inalienable rights. And you're supposed to stand up for the people, freedom of speech, even if you don't agree with them, in every case, and the right to protest in these things. Not that protests suck and I don't agree with them, but there's, if you're looking at it from a moral standpoint, or you're looking at it from a, abuse of power standpoint, you're looking at it from a constitutional standpoint, these ICE agents shouldn't be doing what they're doing in general. And this comes from a impetuous little fucking brat in Trump that's, being a dictator and bragging about being a fucking dictator and saying sometimes you have to be a dictator and saying he was going to be a dictator on day one. And that's what he's doing, and he thinks he's right, and the people around him, know he's a piece of shit, but they're just going along with it because of their own personal, and maybe some of them believe it because they're dumb fucks or whatever, and all the people that are still supporting him. But the reality is this is a fucking nightmare. If you don't recognize, even at the Second Amendment people, you don't recognize this guy's against everything that you believe. Like the Second Amendment stuff that's just coming out. Yeah, this guy can't carry a gun to a protest. Why? Well, I don't know, because Trump, And so everything that you believe in, whether it be Second Amendment bullshit or whether it be, any number of things about the Constitution and rights, Trump is trampling all over it, and you're applauding him. This is what I mocked the QBs for. The QBs who were supposed to be patriots were calling for, these renditions of people like Tom Hanks on superficial evidence, without a trial, just things that people were saying on the internet, and not just Tom Hanks, all of these people, to be taken to Guantanamo Bay and have these, Trump had all these secret indictments and grab these people off the street, take them to Guantanamo Bay and execute them with secret military tribunals. And all these people were being held in Guantanamo Bay because these Cubans, fucking somebody told them that bullshit, right? And, these are American citizens, and if they can do that to you, they do that to them, they can do it to you, doing to others. They're taking away your rights, not just Tom Hanks' rights, but everybody's rights. When they start shooting American citizens in the face without fucking any kind of accountability, that's fucking going to be done to you, right? Like, that's now can be done to you. And you're like, oh, I don't care, liberals, fucking, you're retarded. You're retarded. And you don't fucking recognize how stupid you are. Like, and how much of a hypocrite you are. Things that you claim you care about, Trump is just fucking taking them away from you, and you're just applauding them, right? And so, and the liberals did the same thing with Joe Biden. Liberals who brought in alternative health care. Like, who are the people that were into herbal medicine and homeopathy and all these other types of things? All the stuff that's, supplements and all the stuff that's liberal-based stuff, like Whole Foods and eating organically. And then they think that the Republicans are against the vaccine, so it must be good. And they're running off. All the anti-vaxxers I knew before this era were Democrats. Democrats were the ones who were less likely to get the vaccine. There's some Republicans. There's a cross-section of people who, are extreme on either side who didn't, buy into allopathic medicine, right? But, or this kind of, agenda. But most of those people were liberals. And then there was a turn and the Republicans started to get into being against vaccines. Instead of liberals going, oh my God, this is great, we have something we agree on. They're like, nope, I'm going to go get fucking many boosters, right? My ex was the person who told me about vaccines more than anybody else, my brother and my ex. My ex had done all the research on vaccines. She was the most anti-vax person I knew. And my son said that she took the COVID vax. I'm like, are you serious? Like, she's gone that far? And he didn't know. My son didn't even know. Like, my kids weren't vaccinated, and he didn't even know why. And I'm like, she was the most anti-vax person. So we went back and asked her. And she said, because this guy, Kamish Patel, this piece of shit who was a pharmacist and now runs the, Heartfulness debacle, because he was pro getting this vax, she reversed her whole position on this. And she said, no, this one's the only good one. Right? I'm like, it's the worst one. I'm saying to my son, who was, he had his mixed feelings about it. He was actually pro it. But I'm like, it's the worst fucking one. It's the one that was rushed out with any third-party testing and done by Trump. And these guys are fucking, all these liberals are taking it, even though they're against all the other ones. Like, it's just fucking crazy, right? Like, this is what I'm saying. You have to believe in what you believe in. You have to, like, if you're either right or you're wrong. But, I mean, it's good to change your opinion, but not only because of pressure, peer pressure, and it's because they say to you, this is what you believe. You're in this group, and this is what you believe. You're a right-wing person, then you believe in these things. You believe in Trump, and you believe in all this other stuff. And then when it reverses itself, when Trump reverses all these opinions, you go along with him, even though you believe the exact opposite for years, right? Because you trust Trump, you trust that lying piece of shit. You trust Biden. You trust that lying piece of shit. So this is what I'm talking about. Anyways, all right. Let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.